Everyone, this is Julian with Behind Company Live. Thank you so much for joining today. We have Kenneth Landau, co-founder and CEO of Mytaverse, a leading enterprise metaverse company. Kenneth, I'm so excited to chat with you and not only chat about, your experience as a founder and your journey into the Mytaverse, but also kind of what the Mytaverse means for technology, for engagement, for people moving forward as, was as it kind of launched as a big kind of futuristic plan for how we will all connect, but it's slowly been changing and morphing into different and more diverse use cases than I think we could have ever imagined as users. So before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about yourself and what were you doing before you got into the Mytaverse and started this whole journey within the Metaverse.
Thank you very much, Julian, for having me here today. And yes, again, my name is Kenneth Landau. Before I started Mytaverse, I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. I started my career working consulting with McKinsey and Company and spent 3 years there when I quickly realized that my heart was in entrepreneurship and very quickly started building a business that I run for almost 30 years. And while doing that, I actually started and was a co-founder in 2 other startups in that same journey. And so I feel that that all led me to what I'm doing today, which is launching another startup at an advanced stage for a startup entrepreneur, but really proud of where we have gone with Mytaverse and very happy to be here with you.
Yeah. And I'm so excited about kind of talking to founders who have done it multiple times, because I always like to ask this question is, what makes a company successful? What are like the focal points? Less so of the strategy. And of course, we'll get into the mechanics of it, but I always think it's very telling on how a successful company is, by how you view it or how you view the growth. And how would you say you've maybe changed your viewpoint of companies and what makes them successful, maybe previously to now?
Yeah, I think that the number one factor is people. I mean, it is a constant that good people if you surround yourself with good people, great people, you have such a great chance to be successful in whatever you do. And so that's what I had done every step of my career, is make sure that I surround myself with people that are much better than me. And when you do that, you have, you elevate everybody in your team. So people is very important. Obviously the idea is very important, but I have seen so many businesses that are just a great idea or a good idea with amazing people being successful. And I've seen outstanding ideas with the wrong team not being successful. So I would say the number one is people and how you surround yourself. And then obviously you have to have a great concept. You have to have a concept that people want and people need. And so in every step of my career, every single one of the companies that I have founded have had that constant. It's not, I'm not trying to replicate what others do. I'm trying to do something pretty unique and something that corporations and people alike need and is something that they require for their day to day. And that's a constant that I have found.
When you talk about, finding the right people or surrounding yourself with the right people, I think we all kind of conceptually understand the premise of that idea, but how do you do so mechanically? Do you network? Do you kind of compound? What kind of individuals do you mean by surrounding when you hire? What are the qualities of the people that you're seeking out, and where do you find them? If you were to give any, another maybe earlier founder advice on where they can kind of surround themselves or gather the right community to help, grow and compound, but also to help them be successful as well.
That's a great question. And the best way to answer that is in every single one of the companies that I've been a part of, I started by surrounding myself with advisors, with people that have been there and done. In that way, you are able to tap into their networks and they know exactly what you need and then being there and done that. So trying to do things from scratch doesn't mean that you need to reinvent the wheel. It means that you need to tap into the resources that can help you grow. And so that has been what I've done, including now at Mytaverse. And I have surrounded, and me and my co-founder, we have surrounded ourselves with such quality entrepreneurs and executives and investors that it makes our life easier. To give you an example, our COO in our company, he comes recommended from one of our early investors, and he innovates the quality of the team.
Yeah.
And that gives you an idea of why you bring those advisors early on to help you. It's not just to get their name, it's actually to let them help you. And
Yeah.
that's very important in the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's interesting. You said that kind of the let them help you concept, because I think a lot of maybe earlier founders think that they should have the right answer coming into a conversation, but really it's
Right.
about having the right questions to kind of grab at the curiosity or even just the interest or the experience of the people that are around them, because that's the value that you then receive. When you talk about identifying a good concept that people need, how do you go through the discovery process of that? Is it going through different conversations? Some founders, go through research. Some founders have a great product idea, so they go through a P&L model. And how do you essentially identify what is a good concept and how it will be useful in someone's life?
Yeah, I think that I'll give you a couple of examples, which is easier to then describe. My earlier company 30 years ago, I founded a company which was actually the master license of a shipping company that I purchased the rights from Latin America. So I was not reinventing the wheel. What I did is I looked within that concept, what was actually needed by the consumers, which the market was not providing in Latin America. And I developed that as a new service offering within the concept that I'd had. And that was the most successful service that we had for 30 years in our organization. So it's not the core business that was broad. It was identifying what the consumers need and what the consumers want. And in this case, for example, buying things in Latin America from the United States was non-existent 30 years ago and 25 years ago when we had catalog purchases. Forget about e-commerce. It was catalog purchase. So we developed a service where people would be able to buy from the United States while being in Latin America, and we'll take care of all the service. Obviously, that evolved into e-commerce. Now, when we go to Mytaverse, in the current example, me and my co-founder, when I said I surround myself with great people, I mean, Jaime Lopez, my co-founder, is one of the brightest minds I've ever met in my life. So that's how you start. You get yourself with people that are much better than you. And by doing so, we will never be able to say who came up with the idea, because it was in a conversation right after COVID hit. And we were not doing Metaverse. We're not going to be doing a Metaverse company. Me and some other investors invested in Jaime Lopez in his own company, which was an immersive company in the real world through projection mapping. And when COVID hits, Jaime and I are sitting down saying, okay, COVID hit. The previous company we're running, it's going nowhere because there's no market for it while everybody's at home. So what do we do? And in less than half an hour, we came up and said, you know what? The world is going to need not just one, but need an immersive experience in a 3D environment. And we need to provide that. And Jaime, as genius as he is, he knew how to use gaming technology for deployment. And that's how it started. So it started with an idea of something we knew it was going to be needed in the world 2 years later.
Yeah, so fascinating, the metaverse and the concept and the way people can physically engage in a virtual world, as well as obviously we can plug in, but it's like the physical process of it, the immersiveness is going to be where we really feel connected in that. Before we dive a little bit deeper into Mytaverse and kind of the mechanics of the metaverse, I want to ask this selfishly. In terms of kind of doing business between the U.S. and Latin America and South America, is how do you enter those conversations? What are the limitations for people who are trying to do business kind of between two countries? And then how is it different? Is it the conversation? Is it how businesses are set up and structured? Is one influencing the other? What was that experience like working with two countries, and connecting them?
Because I'm from Latin America, I understand the mentality in Latin America. So if you are a U.S. company trying to do business in another continent or other countries, it is very important to understand the culture of that and the mentality of that country. And if you don't have that experience, you need to find people that have that experience. Because the culture and the culture shock that you can have while interacting with other markets can make it or break it for you as an entrepreneur or as a business person. So that's very important. Finding local people that understand the market. And I would say that that has been probably the number one success factor that I have seen constantly when going cross border in my
Yeah.
previous business, but also in Mytaverse. I mean, our first customer was Pepsi, Latin America,
Wow.
and so we in Mytaverse, and so we have because Jaime and I are both from Latin America. It was very simple, but
Yeah.
now we're also entering Asia, and we have a partner right now in Asia that understands the market. So we're not trying to do it alone because we don't necessarily understand the culture. So we look for local people that really understand what moves people in the region. And
Yeah.
that's how we are able to enter that market.
Yeah, you echoed something another founder said a couple episodes ago, where he was a consultant for global business, and he said the same thing: is it's finding the right people and resources in that environment, because if you don't understand the culture, he used a really interesting example, and I don't know if this resonates, but he said, if you're in a car with a friend and you get into an accident, and somebody asks you about what happened. One culture might, think about trustworthiness and honesty, discussing the situation, whether or not the friend was at fault. And the other culture might really advocate for the friend, regardless of what actually happened. And it's that difference of the trust that people need to understand for when they're building culture and things like that, in business.
That is
that's
correct.
built globally. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that resonated with you, because I thought it was a really cool concept. But describe Mytaverse. What is the technology? What's the company doing? And what's exciting about what you're building right now?
You are pretty much aware of the excitement around the metaverse right now.
Yeah.
And the metaverse is an ecosystem. The metaverse is what websites and e-commerce was 30 years ago, that people did not understand how it would work.
Yeah.
So then not only using it, but nowadays you cannot live without the internet, e-commerce. That's all we use as an example. We're right now having a virtual meeting, and all this is the digital world and how it has evolved from 30 years ago and 50 years ago.
Yeah.
The metaverse is the next evolution. The metaverse is going to be what websites was to companies 30 years ago. The metaverse will transform to 3D immersive. And many use cases are starting to happen, but in the next 5 years, they will definitely evolve into what we do in the day to day. One very important aspect of it is we don't advocate. I don't believe in not being face to face. I don't think there's any better way to interact than when you're face to face.
Yeah.
But the reality is that we cannot be face to face all the time.
Yeah.
And so the metaverse is actually bringing people together. They're making it feel they're in the same place because of the immersiveness and the experience. And that's changing how people interact. And we're seeing it with our customers, how they're interacting, and then how they come back to us and say, I was there with Julian. I mean, it's not that we spoke over the phone or in a Google Meet. We were there together. That's when you know the technology you have is actually getting people to feel something and not just be there.
Yeah. And what would you say, I guess, what is the difference between that and, say, a virtual call like we're doing now? How does it enhance the experience? And what do you think, in your opinion, are the benefits of having it feel like a more present interaction versus, I think this is an active and definitely present conversation. Like you said, there's a different essence of it, versus talking to Kenneth and being there with Kenneth. Well, how does it enhance the experience? And in your opinion, how does it do so?
Let me go back to the technology that we're using to give you a more perspective. We're using the Unreal Engine from FEK, and it's a video game technology. So when we see youngsters nowadays playing video games, when I ask my son, what did you do last night? Sometimes I get the answer, I was with Julian last night. And I said, what do you mean? You were not, you were here in your room. Well, we were playing Fortnite and we were together there on the same mission. So they feel they were there together. The fact that you can turn around 360 and look up and look down and you can see the environment makes you feel very different and transports you into that situation.
Yeah.
So what happens is, since we're deploying these, as you said at the beginning, for enterprise, for B2B customers, our customers are companies bringing their stakeholders together. And they bring them for a conference and they have 500 people in an auditorium. And they bring speakers that turn on the camera. So you see them just like you would if you go to a convention center and you're there in the auditorium. you feel you are part of that auditorium. And when you get bored, you just get off your chair, walk outside the auditorium with myself, and we go outside and have a chat and have a conversation face to face. That is something that emulates. It's very close to what you do in real life.
Right.
And so, as I said before, we're not trying to substitute real life engagement, but this is the closest you will get when you're not face to face.
Yeah. And what goes into, say, like, you know, you kind of submitted this as well. So to segue into it, but the dynamics of, maybe the regulation and how you kind of, get these players, and what kind of technology would I need as a client of yours, who wants to engage in this virtual world, and kind of needs, maybe is it hardware? Is it devices? Is it, some type of software? What are the dynamics that allow this to happen?
Yeah. From day one, Jaime had a vision, which is we cannot have any barriers for users to use our technology. So we basically went in a mission to do it hardware agnostic and platform agnostic. So
Wow.
you can
Wow.
enter through your laptop, any phone, any tablet, or eventually, which we can deploy through VR glasses. We're not doing that yet because there's not enough penetration in the corporate world
Yeah.
with VR for them to use it. But all you need right now is really an internet connection and a browser to be able to enter Mytaverse. And within a couple of minutes, you will be in this immersive world without downloads, without equipment, without anything that is special to you, because
Yeah.
we take all the other parts of the equation, which is the hardware. It's all cloud-based. And we work very closely with AWS so that they host all this power for you to enter into a very powerful cloud machine and have a great experience through your browser.
Yeah. And how do you go around topics of privacy and information? I know it's always difficult when kind of having users and information and having an experience that you cater to, because you're almost accountable for that experience as well. How do you think about that
Yeah.
aspect of it, and how do you work through and work with your users, kind of keeping trust around their privacy and information and the experience overall?
Yeah, and it is a very common question, especially from our customers, because our customers are all corporate customers.
Yeah.
And the reality is that there are different types of metaverse companies nowadays. Even though we all believe, most of us believe that the metaverse will be an ecosystem where you can go from one platform to another platform very seamlessly. Right
Mhm.
now, that is not the case. In our case, different to other metaverse companies like Decentraland and Roblox and Sandbox, our metaverse is a walled garden metaverse specifically deployed for each customer. So they control their environment, they control their data, they control the interactions that happen in there. So if they don't invite you to their metaverse, you cannot join. Therefore, we give them control over their environment, and they have all the data available to themselves. They get all the analytics about who is doing what in their environment,
Yeah.
and all that hosted on very secure AWS servers.
Yeah. And when you discuss platforms communicating to one another, is that a limitation of the current technology, or is there not enough motivation to make the connection between platforms?
Well, if you think about each company, each metaverse company is deploying their metaverse in using different technologies. You have Roblox using a different technology than Epic Games, using a different
Yeah.
technology than Microsoft and Decentraland. Each one of them using a different platform means that in order to actually go from one to the other, there needs to be a protocol and a way to integrate these technologies. So there needs to be the willingness. There needs to be a protocol that everybody's following in order for everyone to be able to go from one to another. Having said that, that will happen, and it's just a matter of time, because what we don't want is for you to go from Mytaverse, and if you want to join your son playing Roblox, you have to exit Mytaverse and then join Roblox. You should be able to teleport to Roblox and then convert yourself into a Roblox avatar and stay within your own persona in there.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of time for companies to start talking to each other and create these standards that all of us are following to be able to go from one to another.
Yeah. Within your company, do you use your technology for maintaining a remote working culture?
Absolutely. We have
Yeah.
all our teams joining Mytaverse every single day. But it's not the only platform we use because everybody understands, you can't use one platform for all your needs. You
Yeah.
cannot use Microsoft Teams for everything you need. You cannot use Google Meet for all your needs. So we do a lot. I mean, we have tomorrow the all hands of the company. And of course, that's a great use case to bring all our team, 48 people together in
Yeah.
one place. Because you can actually have face-to-face interact, and we're going to be in our auditorium where we have
Yeah.
a half an hour meeting. There are other ways to have a better half an hour meeting. But if you join Mytaverse right now, you will see our teams walking around in conference rooms, doing demos for customers, everything happening at the same time.
Wow, it's so exciting to kind of see and hear about the enhanced experience. And I used to work in a WeWork building, and a lot of the beauty and benefit of it was having such a diverse interaction with different companies and people. Yeah, but I went to a knockoff WeWork. I won't name the company to hurt my hosting image, but it was a different experience. It was a little bit more barren, and it's because people are really dispersed now, and kind of taking advantage of different areas and locations. And outside of the Mytaverse and creating this ecosystem that helps connect people, how else as a founder do you keep a strong and consistent culture and a productive working environment when it's hard to kind of manage or communicate or reinstill values with the remote working team? What are some ways that your company does it successfully?
Yeah, that's an interesting point because it's something that's in everybody's minds right now on how to make sure that we create a culture that people can believe in and can work together when you're not together. We have people in 15 different countries around the world. And that becomes very difficult. So we do a lot of, monthly meetings for all team members to be able to share and interact. But we also, at one initiative late last year, brought every team member into the same location for everybody to get to know each other personally, which is very, very important. As I said before, there's nothing like having a face-to-face. We have a company that is helping us get team building environment so that when we're remote, every 3 months, we have a team building activity that's led by a professional. Even though it's remote, you don't feel you're remote. So those type of initiatives are very important for people to feel belonging and to feel that they are part of an organization that wants them and values them. So it's a critical component of remote work, and we're working as hard as we can with our people team to make sure everybody feels valued and taken care of.
Yeah. It's something that after doing quite a few episodes that a lot of founders say is its own function of running a company, which is maintaining culture and motivation. And it's challenging. And you often experiment, some things work, some things don't. And it's interesting to hear the things that are working for other founders to kind of take those ideas. In regards to the Mytaverse in particular, tell us a little bit about the traction. How many companies are working within the Mytaverse and using the platform? And what's exciting about this coming year's kind of growth, and what do you expect out of this coming year?
Yes, we currently have 15 customers. We actually launched the sales process in April of 2022. So it was a short period of time, and we captured 15 customers. 10 of them are recurring customers. Our business model is software as a service. So we license our platform for companies to use it regularly, to use it for different use cases, as a showroom, at a place where they can bring teams together for conferences, for exhibitions. And so out of the 15 customers, 10 of them use it regularly, and other 5 have done it for proof of concepts and are starting to engage right now. Our vision for this year is to bring 30 new customers. And we're working very hard, not only to bring any type of customers. We need to bring customers that not only we can add value to them, but they can add value to us as well. And through branding, through using the platform the right way. And so we're working very hard with our sales team to identify companies that can really benefit from the Metaverse experience right now, and have the vision of where they want to be in the Metaverse in the next few years. And we're bringing them as customers as we speak.
That's incredible. And I always kind of move to this question because I'm curious to hear how your company kind of views the market and the customers and everything around what they're doing. What are some of the biggest challenges that Mytaverse faces today?
I'll say the number one challenge is the understanding of the metaverse by people, by enterprise, by
Yeah.
executives. Most of them don't understand. There are two constants that we have found with high level executives that we talk to. The first one is that they don't really understand what the metaverse is. The
Yes.
second one is they know they have to be part of the metaverse. So those are very contradictory, but they benefit us in a great way because they know they are very scared of not being part of the metaverse and being left behind. Everybody's talking about what the metaverse is going to do to e-commerce, what it's going to do to conferences, what it's going to do to remote work, what it's going to do to just networking.
Yeah.
And so everybody think about how can I use that platform? Is that platform really going to be the next generation of websites? And as they're having these doubts and not clearly understanding what the metaverse is, that is a big challenge for us because companies are not really budgeting for the metaverse right now. And some of them are saying, oh, that's a marketing gimmick, which is not, or that's a sales tool. It's not. It's all of the above. It's not just one thing. It's going to be a place where you do all these things.
Yeah.
And so that is our biggest challenge. But what we're finding is at the same time, the most visionary executives in the companies are saying, but you know what? I understand we need to be part of this. So how can we engage in the metaverse? And that's the bridge, the gap that we're bridging right now, which is we're making it very easy for companies to enter the metaverse. And that's our job right now, where we'll give you the keys to your metaverse in 30 to 45 days, fully branded for your brand. You brand your own metaverse. You make it look and feel your own, and you can start engaging your people at a reasonable investment. And that's what we're doing as a strategy right now.
Yeah. Term wise, if everything goes well, what's the long-term vision for Mytaverse?
Long-term vision is having every single corporation in the world building their own metaverse and actually interacting with each other and saying, okay, I'm going to go to your office and just teleport to your office. And it's going to be different to mine, just like in real world.
Yeah.
So where we see a world where people can actually interact with each other when they're not together in a way that it's very different. From my own experience in my own metaverse, when I go to yours, because the feeling, the environment is different, but I can navigate there. I can actually interact with you. And farther than that, that the metaverse ecosystem has evolved to the point that I can go and visit my son in playing at Roblox and go to a concert at night that I cannot attend in person in the metaverse without actually leaving my platform. So the more that we push towards evolving the technology and getting corporate America to embrace the metaverse and to interact in different ways in the metaverse, the more we can obtain that vision for the future.
It's so exciting to see kind of the different ways the technology is improving, enhancing different experiences. And if I were to submit a ticket, it would be to bring podcasting into the Mytaverse. So I don't know when you'll do that, but I'd love to be a part of the test run if that's on the horizon. But I would like to ask founders working on your projects and invested, and if you weren't working on Mytaverse, what would you be doing?
That's a great question. I love engaging with people. I think that's the number one thing that I like is engaging with people. I started my life as a consultant, and I would say that would be what I would love, what I would enjoy in my career when I decide that I am going to retire, is engaging with people and advising people using the experience that I have built to help people on not make the mistakes that I have made. Because we all learn from our mistakes. And if I can avoid people making some of those mistakes, I really feel good about that. So I would say that working with people to help them would be one of the things that I would enjoy doing.
I love that. I love that. I always like to ask this next question, not only for selfish research purposes, but for my audience as well. Whether it's earlier in career or now, what books or people have influenced you the most?
That's a great question. I would go back to the person that actually was and is my mentor in business and in life. I mean, I have kept in touch with this person for over 33 years. His name is Moises Naim. He's a writer. He's a brilliant economist. And he became my mentor while working in the World Bank and me finishing or doing my MBA in Washington, D.C. He was a director at the World Bank, and we became friends through my father-in-law, which is another person that has influenced my life greatly. And he introduced us, and there was a big difference in age, but I became his friend.
Yeah.
And we would play tennis together 33 years ago. And he would give me advice about how should I make the most out of my MBA. And then he was the person that influenced me to go and work for a consulting firm for a couple of years, because it was the right step for my career. And he became an early investor in 2 of my 4 startups, including Mytaverse right now. And he was very influential in getting me together with the people that actually we made the original investment together for Mytaverse, himself, myself, and the person he introduced to me that actually introduced me to Jaime Lopez. And I have to be very thankful. But that's what I was telling you earlier today. I mean, surrounding yourself with the right people lets you go farther. And he has been one of the most influential people in my professional career. Sometimes I would talk to him. I would not talk to him for a year, but then have a very meaningful conversation with him after that. And I would say the other group of people that influences my life every single day is family. I am a very family-oriented person, and from my father, who passed away 23 years ago, but installed in me honesty and hard work. My father-in-law, who just recently passed a few months back, who helped me understand business and life, and they influenced me in a way, and my mother as well. Family has had a huge impact on my life, my wife, my kids. I learned so much from them every single day. You don't need to go farther than that to learn from people, including my grandson that is 18 months, and I sit down to play with him and I learn stuff from him every single day. So for me, that's what I enjoy the most, but the learning is there. So I would say people are the ones that have influenced me the most in my life.
I love that. And it's awesome because, a lot of founders kind of share a similar philosophy about learning and the people around them and really being a sponge of information. And it's not necessarily a time period that they are like that. It's a quality of character and a personality type that really allows them to grow and learn from people. And I echo a lot of the same things and sentiments. So it made me to hear it from you as well. I am curious before we wrap up here, what was the piece of advice for the NBA? What did your mentor tell you that what would be the best use of your MBA?
I think that the single best, advice he gave me at that time was to enjoy and interact with people. I mean, one thing is to study hard and to get good grades. That's all fine and dandy. But he said, then you're going to get the most out of the MBA by interacting with people. So don't isolate yourself. Just talk to people, talk to the professors, talk to your peers, and be that sponge at that time, because they bring experiences that the books don't bring, that any research that you're going to do will not bring, because they bring real life experience. And that was very important, because sometimes we get so focused on the grade and on the next exam that you have, and that you lose perspective on what's important. And I would say that I used that throughout my life. It's not just for that I used it, but throughout my life, I would say it was great advice.
Yeah. And who was better at tennis?
At tennis, I will. If you ask him, me. If you ask me. I mean, or hard in tennis. We don't beat around the bushes of that. I mean, I have been playing sports all my life. I have people that are very, they hate me for that, because I grab a racket and I can play that sports.
I love that.
I will beat them every single time.
I love that. And hey, if we're in the same area, I would like to not only play on the tennis court, but I'm a basketball guy. Maybe we'll be on a basketball court too. We'll see if that works out well. I love that. Well, Kenneth, I always like to give my guests a chance to give us their plugs. Where can we find you? Where can we find you on LinkedIn, Twitter? where can we find Mytaverse and be a part of the technology? And if we're an interested customer, be a part of adapting Mytaverse into our organization. Give us your information, where your websites, LinkedIn's, Twitter's go.
Absolutely. My email address is kenny@mytaverse.com. And you can find me there. You can email me. We'll always refund. Our website is mytaverse.com, and you can actually inquire about a service on the website and on LinkedIn. We're very much following on links and people that come to us through LinkedIn, and we're following on them, and we're following up on any inquiries. So LinkedIn, on Mytaverse on LinkedIn, you will find us very easily. But you can always tag me, and I will be more than happy to follow up on any conversation that you would like to have about the metaverse.
Amazing. Kenneth, thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I'm excited to share this with the audience, get people excited about the metaverse. And honestly, I'm excited to see where it goes. And selfishly, yes, if you're ever into podcasting and want to build an environment around that, I'd love to see what that looks like. But again, thank you for being on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you very much for having me, and looking forward to meeting you in person very soon.
Awesome.